Thank you so much for joining me for this month's devotional. I am excited about this month's topic, but then again, I'm excited about every month's topic because the amount of knowledge that God just pours into me to share with you is so amazing. This is where I share organizational tips, strategies, and tools, and I parallel them to the Bible so that you can see what God is saying about your day-to-day and what it looks like for you to pursue your passions and to really live out what you feel like is your life's purpose. So that is what we are here to do. These videos are designed to inspire the way that you do life, to empower the way that you live your life. The world needs what you got. And so these videos are to help you, push you in that direction. Continuing on the theme that I established at the beginning of the year, habits that promote positive change, we are going to take a look at how to adopt the habit of managing our distractions. Now, distractions aren't always negative, and that's what we're going to see as we dig a little deeper. The point is to recognize what are the good ones, the negative ones, and what are the positive ones, so that you know exactly what to give your attention to. Have you ever had trouble just focusing? Distractions are the things that help you to not focus. So we need to talk about distractions. Working towards your goals is a continual, lifelong process. And so the healthier the process, the better the results. So that's why we are going to dig right into what distractions are all about. So let's do it. This month, I chose 3 scriptures. I'm not going to read every single one because it'll take forever, but I will include them in the notes of this video so that you can go back and look over it on your own. What I'll do is give a brief synopsis so that you can kind of get the gist of it and see what the story is truly saying in every single instance. The first scripture is Luke 10, verse 38 to 42. The second scripture is Matthew 25, verses 1 to 13. And the third scripture is 2 Chronicles 20, verses 15 to 18. Now, Luke 10, verse 38 to 42 is centered around a story about 2 women, Martha and Mary. Jesus is in their house. He's being hosted. Mary is sitting at Jesus' feet, listening to all his teachings and everything that he has to say. And Martha's just busy around the house doing this and doing that. And Martha begins to complain, and she's like, can you tell Mary to help me? But Jesus then expresses to her that Mary's actually in the better place. She's listening, she's learning, and Martha's just busying herself the whole entire time. And so what Jesus is saying is that the better place was there with him because that's where the most of the value was. And so Jesus wanted Martha to see that. There was no value in her busying herself when there was so much to gain by listening to what he was saying, by truly absorbing his presence and being there with them. I call this a bad distraction. Sometimes we busy ourselves with our things to do when truly we need to take the time to grow, to pay attention to who we are as individuals, to truly invest in ourselves, to become the people that we desire to be, to really fulfill our goals. Sometimes for you to fulfill your goals, it takes for you to be a different kind of a person. It takes for you to be the kind of person who is not going to be the person you were 5-10 years or even several months ago. You have to take on a new mentality. You have to take on a new perspective so that you can accomplish some of the things that you're looking to accomplish, or even the things that you truly feel like God is calling you to do. So that's why I call that a bad distraction. In Matthew 25, verses 1 to 13, this is a parable about 10 virgins. In this parable, there are 5 virgins that are described as wise virgins, and there are 5 virgins that are described as foolish virgins. virgins, sorry. They're waiting for the bridegroom to come. And those that were wise, they had plenty of oil to sustain them until the bridegroom did come. And the other ones didn't feel like they needed to, and so they didn't take extra oil. So when the bridegroom finally did come, guess who wasn't prepared to partake in all the festivities and the enjoyment of being together with the bridegroom? The foolish virgins. Now, after some research, the oil is supposed to represent all the knowledge of God that you were filled with. And the lamps, of course, house that oil. And based on what I discovered is that those foolish virgins, they didn't truly believe everything about what Jesus was teaching. They didn't truly believe what was being poured into them, the knowledge of heaven, and what it truly means to believe in who God is. And so they didn't take it seriously. And so when it came time, the bridegroom, being Jesus, came back, they weren't ready. They weren't ready. And in that moment, it's almost like they wanted to believe. And at that point, it was too late. Like, why weren't you believing in the time that the good news was being shared? And so that also is a bad distraction. Religiosity. I kind of parallel this with religiosity because sometimes we can get into the mode of what religion entails and the culture of religion that we forget about the value of relationship. And I think that that's what this is entailing based on my research and, just studying a little bit more, that we can be so caught up in the religiosity of things or in the routine of things or the things that we can actually physically see that it's hard for us to believe what God is truly saying or what Jesus is truly saying. And they missed out. That's what they were distracted on. And they missed out. The next scripture is 2 Chronicles 20, verses 15 to 18. This is the last one. So this one, I believe, represents a good distraction, and you'll see why. In this one, Jehoshaphat is a king of Judah, and he hears that a whole bunch of his enemies are coming to pretty much attack his people, to attack him, where they live, where God has given them to really inhabit. And he was scared. Yes, that's acknowledged that he was scared, but he could have reacted so differently. Instead, he leaned into God and who he is, and he gathered everybody in his tribe to fast and to pray and to seek God for direction. And in this story, God assures them that they're going to win, that they have nothing to worry about. Stand firm where you are. You don't have to do a thing. I'm going to take care of everything. And I call this a good distraction because because Jehoshaphat's mind was taken away from the fear and brought into a place of assurance. And so that's why it's called a good distraction. That's what a good distraction is. It's something that helps take your mind off of the things that you don't have or the things that seem so bad and that you can't seem to function, and pulling your mind into the direction of everything is going to be cool. Like, everything is going to work out and everything is going to be great. And oh, by the way, you have all of these things, and this is how blessed you are. So maybe you should be paying attention to this. So I call that a good kind of distraction. When I say that the Bible truly tells us and guides us on how we are to live our day-to-day, I am not kidding you. You can take all of these lessons from each and every single one of these scriptures and truly absorb this concept of distractions and how they can affect you negatively and positively. So why is it that distractions is something that is important to understand when it comes to just being organized as a person and truly prioritizing your goals and your plans and your strategies on how to get to the place that you want to get to. It's understanding that no matter what is happening around you, no matter what challenges you face, everything that comes in the form of a negative distraction should not keep you from pushing through. It shouldn't keep you from continuing in your process, continuing in your journey. And when you recognize that distractions are meant to pull you away from those things, it empowers you even more to keep pushing. And so that's why it's so important to truly recognize the difference between a good distraction and a bad distraction, so that you know exactly what kinds of distractions you need to be giving your attention to. So how do we recognize the different types of distractions? How do we recognize when something is a distraction? Well, let's start first with the definition, right? A distraction is something that prevents someone from giving their full attention to something else. That is the simplest way to put it. So what are some good distractions in life? So good distractions are the distractions that help you cope with life's challenges. It occupies your mind to understand that there is better. It gives you hope about something, and it truly shifts your mindset to something better to focus on than negative things. Because quite honestly, negativity can be taxing on your health, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, in every possible way. So why not give in to the kinds of distractions that are good? So I'll give you an example. We're parents, right? When your child wants something really, really bad and you can't give it to them in that moment, some parenting tactics really is to get them to think about something else. Oh, let's go for a walk instead. Or, oh, you can watch TV for 20 minutes or something like that. Or, you know what? We can't get it today, but guess what? You can get something even better 2 weeks from now. To get your child to shift their mind to that thing so they're not super upset and throwing tantrums and just angry and however they deal with their emotions, that's the perfect way. I even think about cancer patients in hospitals, how people bring pets into those hospitals to kind of get their minds off of their current situation and to truly see hope in the world and to find joy in the world and things that truly bring smiles to their faces. Those are good distractions, and that's what they would look like. I encourage you to find some in your own life, especially if you are finding your place where you're just so stuck on the negativity around your situation. So what are some not so good distractions and why? Bad distractions, you're focused on the things that maybe you want to give attention to but shouldn't be giving your attention to in the moment because it's not important. It causes you to not give your best self to the thing that's truly more important. Sometimes, procrastination is a form of a distraction. Worry is a form of a distraction. Religiosity, like I mentioned earlier, is a form of distraction. Confusion is a form of distraction. And too much stuff, just straight up having too much stuff in your plate or around you in your home, that's a distraction, as a form of distraction. This is what it would look like in your day-to-day. So for example, when I sit down to get work done, now trust me, my desk sometimes looks a hot mess because I like to keep a whole bunch of stacks of, not a whole bunch of stacks, but a whole bunch of sections of papers and different things that are related to different areas of my life on my desk, because it reminds me that they need to be done. But when I actually sit down to work on one particular thing, I have to kind of organize it in a way where it's not directly in front of me, because your mind naturally wants to be distracted. And so in order for your mind not to get to that place, you have to be intentional about making sure you remove all the clutter, making sure you remove anything that could possibly be a distraction, like your phone being right in front of you. A part of you is going to want to pick up the phone and browse social media. A part of you is going to want to say, hey, you know what, let me pause this thing for a second and go over to this thing. At least that's how my mind works. And so when I sit down to do work, I know that there's one particular thing that I need to focus on in any given moment, and I remove everything else out from in front of me, so I am not tempted to be distracted by it. So I'm not tempted to procrastinate a little bit, especially when a task you're working on becomes a little bit challenging and a little hard, and even taxing on your mind. You will be tempted. You will be tempted to do something else. Can you think of anything in your life, in your own life, where you just felt like you have to give into the distraction because it just felt easier, because it meant that you didn't have to think about something, or it meant that you could delay a little bit because, well, the stress was overwhelming, and maybe you felt like what you were doing is adding so much pressure to you, and you just need to like push it away. Giving into the distraction is you saying, yeah, I'll take this distraction because that other thing is too hard. And that's something that we don't want to do. Why? Because they keep us from believing in better for ourselves. They keep us in our toxic emotions. They keep us in a place where we are not progressing. So if you want to identify the bad distractions in your life, that's what you need to think about. You need to think about what is important, what is important for me to pay attention to right now. If there's anything pulling me away from that, then I don't need to be doing it. I also consider going back to good distractions, something that is helpful to somebody else. That's a good distraction. It's not just about you, but doing something that's going to change and impact somebody else's life. Now, it doesn't mean that you allow toxic people to have a monopoly on your time and your energy. It just means that you take the time to truly understand how much value you can bring to somebody else by allowing yourself to be distracted just a little bit. And back to the negative distractions. So what can we do with those things? I think about two scriptures, which I'm also going to include in the notes: Philippians 4:8 and Joshua 1:8. I'm not going to paraphrase, but I will say this, that these two scriptures give you the premise of focus and meditation. And the way that you do that is to constantly remind yourself what is important. That's going to continuously drive the focus. Like I said before, truly understanding what is important in any given moment, in any given part of your day, and ensuring and being intentional about making sure that that is priority, no matter how challenging it gets, no matter how hard it gets, just keep plugging away. That's my encouragement this time, to really plug away. You have the understanding now of what good distractions are, what bad distractions are, what you need to be paying attention to, how to recognize them. And I really do hope that you are able and equipped now to apply it to your own life. Take the time to really dig through these scriptures, because there's so much value and truth behind it, and so applicable to your everyday life. Thank you so much, guys, for listening, for joining the conversation. Please do share this conversation with your friends and with your family, because I know that giving into distractions is universal. It's universal. And I truly believe that people can find true support in studying and understanding and meditating on what God is saying about how to deal with different kinds of distractions. I really believe it's going to help somebody out. So I do encourage you to share it. Share, like, comment. Join me on social media. This is where I expound more. I share it with people who are not on the list. Just like little nuances and tidbits of it. so that other people can truly understand and find the help and the support that they need, just like you guys get. I also encourage you to please encourage those that you feel like could truly benefit from these devotionals to sign up for this newsletter. Don't keep it all to yourself. That's bit.ly/NormelSmith, bit.ly/NormelSmith. I have so much in store beyond these videos, and I want as many people to be on board just like you guys are. And I will talk to you guys soon.